Czy z Polski widać Norwegię i Islandię? Niekoniecznie, ale łatwo zobaczyć wpływ ich działań na rozwój naszej kultury. W warszawskich Łazienkach możemy podziwiać efekty renowacji starej pomarańczarni. Owoce prac robią wrażenie. Na krakowskich scenach odbywały się unikalne spektakle i warsztaty. Były dramaty, ale obyło się bez tragedii. Na festiwalu Kino Dzieci rośnie nowe pokolenie kinomanów. Szczęśliwie młodzi widzowie nie robią scen. Pomoc funduszy norweskich i EOG sięga daleko, wspierając wartościowe projekty edukacyjne, badania naukowe, kulturę, środowisko i wiele więcej.
My name is Adriana Prodeus. I am a film critic, and I have a huge pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the New Horizons and American Film Festival in Wrocław. I talked to Grímurem Hákonarsonem, the director of the movie The County, presented at the festival, and because of the limited travel opportunities caused by pandemic, we wanted to ask you to introduce your film to Polish audience watching your film at home. So thank you for being with us now.
Thank you.
You begin your film with a very strong image, birth of a calf. There is a lot of curiosity, eagerness, and some, I don't know, surprise of life in this image. And again, you return to the calf, to this direct contact with animal, almost in the end of your film, in the scene of feeding, when the new cooperative is established and there is hope that everything would be fine. So I would like to ask you about this direct contact with the animal, because in your previous film, Rams, we could also watch this kind of direct contact with the cattle. Why is it so important in the industrialized world of animals? Why do you need these images?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. I think in Rams, Rams is all about like the sheep and that they're trying to save the sheep, you know. And I think it's much more about the connection between human and sheep. But in the county, I would say it's more as a metaphor. It's like in the beginning of the film, it's a calf, you know, being born. You know, it's like a new beginning, and also then in the end when the cows get out of the barn, you know, and they're kind of free. It's like also a new beginning or something like that, you know. So there, yeah, it was kind of like a bit metaphor for the journey of like, or maybe for the spiritual journey of Inca through the film, you know. Her, you know, yeah.
Yes, but you tend to show the animals in the very industrialized way, almost as a products in contemporary world. So in this very short scenes of, you know, direct contact with the animal, it's kind of, I don't know, emotional in a way to watch this kind of scene.
Yeah.
So I wonder, why is it important for you to show a person with direct contact with the animal?
Well, I think it was you know, if you're a farmer, you know, like this is one of the most important tasks to take care of a calf being born. You know, this is so. I was also just kind of thinking about you know, to show the farmer at work, you know, and in this context, because it's as I say, the county is like less about animals are not the main issue in the county, you know, but they are there, you know. It's a part of the farmer's job to take care of the cow when they're born, and I felt that it's a heavy job. She's a woman, Inga is a woman, and this is like really like a physical. It's really difficult to do this, you know. So yeah, I think I'm more somewhere there, you know.
Mhm. Your film describe this kind of obsession with local culture, local products, encouraged in whole Europe, also by European structures somehow.
Yeah.
So, do you see such a tendency that something that should be, you know, our, I don't know, worth, our strength, became something dangerous? Do you feel that this kind of obsession of local products, local culture could be dangerous in contemporary world?
I don't understand.
I see a film as a irony that something that should be, you know, unique and original in local culture, in local products, encouraging people to live in a kind of community, uh, could be so dangerous and tricky. And I wonder if you see it as a bigger tendency in contemporary world.
I mean, it's you know, it's yeah, I would say it's you know, it's like a small society, and it's we have this co-op that is like controlling everything there, you know, and all the farmers are members of that, you know, and it's supposed to be um like a social kind of like a socialistic kind of system, and the farmers are supposed to be the owners of the co-op, and it's supposed to be in charge. But I think I think it's a story of like uh, you know, like corruption, and how like a few people can, you know, take control and destroy like uh, these kind of ideals, you know, because the ideal of the co-op, you know, and the society is on paper it sounds really good, and it's a beautiful ideal, but as happens like in the world, like all around us, you know, uh, when you know, a corruption and human nature, you know, gets involved, you know, then these entities can be a contrast to the original idea, you know, ideal.
Yes, I think that watching your movie in post-communist country is something very, you know, specific, that we in Poland, we are very suspicious to this kind of, you know, ideals for community. We are always, you know, kind of, I don't know, ironic of this kind of communist, you know,
Yeah.
tradition of ideas. And you show co-op as an oppressive system of power, very similar to mafia. Do you believe in collectivity, in community based on, you know, the real ideals, fair rules, and democracy?
Yeah, I tend to look at myself as a kind of left wing kind of socialist guy, you know. So it's kind of up my alley, you know. Cooperative companies are up my alley, you know. But it's based on a true story, you know. It's based on a real co-op in Iceland, and it's just based on research, and I'm just basing. So this is how it is. Well, it's actually that's my opinion on how it is, and it's sad, you know. But I'm an optimistic person, you know, and uh, I think like utopias can work, you know, and like communes can work like in a small scales, and I yeah I like to believe that, you know, that it can work, you know. But
Yes.
Obviously, it doesn't work in this particular society.
Yeah. Anyway, it should work someday. I agree. I would love to think like that. You mentioned that you based your story on the real life village, Skagafjörður. How was your film received in Iceland and especially there in this region?
Yeah, it was received pretty well in Iceland, and it did pretty well in cinemas. And in Skagafjörður, it was sold out like all the time. There was like a small local cinema there, and we had like some strong reactions from the people there, and most of them were positive, and people were writing me messages, and they were saying, "Oh, this is all true, and this is how it is," and all that. I didn't have any reaction from the co-op people. They just didn't say anything. They were just silent. But in the end, the film didn't really change anything, but it made like a little buzz, in Skagafjörður, and there were people writing articles in newspaper and something like that. But in the end, it's really difficult for a person. Well, actually, there are very few persons in Skagafjörður who are kind of independent, who are in the position to criticize. Everyone is somehow tied to that co-op.
Mm-hmm. So
there was only one. There was this one guy. He wrote an article in newspaper, and he was retired, so he got his wages from the state. Like a pension. He's a pensionist. So he was not. He was independent in that way, so he could express his opinion.
Mm-hmm. So the reality is very similar to the world from your film, as you say.
Yeah, I've actually. The film is a fiction, obviously, and I was. There's a lot of scene in the film that I just made up in my head, But after the film was released, I've actually got to know that a lot of scenes that I made up in my head actually happened in reality, and had some kind of references, which is always a good feeling,
Mm. Yeah, you have a sixth sense, and you also make your actors look like average people, like the real farmers. They are so natural and authentic in a very certain way. How do you work with them? Do you rehearse or do you improvise? What are your methods?
I think it's, the most important is to select the right actors for the role, and obviously the reason I chose artist for Inga was I thought she had this appearance for like a rural woman, but she is like a city girl, and she had never been on a farm, and she had never worked like a physical work. So the biggest part of my preparation with artists was like a practical, that she was learning how to drive a tractor, learning how to take care of the cows and feed them, and so she was staying at farms and stuff like that. But because she's a good actress and she can deliver, emotionally like a very strong actress, and so that's at least like one important thing that I usually do. I also did that in Rams, I sent the actors to work on a farm, to get used to the sheep, because it's important for me that my film are authentic, and then it's just my rehearsal techniques are usually kind of not so. There's nothing sort of special about them. It's just the basic getting to know the actors, build up trust, doing research, rehearsing a lot. I rehearse a lot. So it's
Yeah, this is what I suspected, that this is why it looks so natural after so many rehearsals. So let's talk about Inga, your protagonist. She seems to be a born revolutionary, a born politician. Why she needed such a long time to realize that she should act? You somehow mingle her braveness, her revolutionary character with her menopause, because she's in this age we expect women to have menopause. So I wonder how did you build this protagonist?
Yeah, I mean, Inca is based on like a few women that I know from reality, and it's becoming more common in Iceland that women are running their own farms, you know, and they're doing it without men, you know, and they're doing all this masculine work. And so I felt that was interesting, you know, that she needed to stand on her own, and to have like a female against the co-op, the masculine co-op, you know, because the co-op is run by men, and I would tell like a female kind of farmer that would rise up against it. And I mean, I think, yeah, Inka, you know, she's like a political person and critical, but she has been sort of, her husband has been sort of keeping her down, you know, all the time, you know, and when he dies in the beginning, then some kind of hidden powers sort of come up, come from Inka, you know, like, and I think she changes during the film, you know, and she becomes more and more. She doesn't have anything to lose, you know. She has nothing to lose, and she wants to reconcile with the society and what happened to her husband. And everything.
Mm-hmm. It's funny and it's sad in the same time that the only brave, rough woman we know from cinema is played by Frances McDormand, and your protagonist played by Andris Hjörn Egilsdottir. She's very often compared to Frances McDormand. So I wonder, why is it so? What do you think? Like, why there are only two women like that in contemporary cinema?
Yeah, it was actually when I saw Three Billboards with Frances McDormand, you know, I immediately thought like, okay, this is a bit similar, you know. I mean, this is a similar character, you know, and she even wears the similar costumes, you know. It wasn't not so convenient, you know, and we've had a lot of like questions about that, you know, and but you know, you can't this happens all the time, that you think you have some kind of original character or original idea, and then, you know, I once I made a short film about like a rural gay film about gay wrestlers in Iceland, and then just when I was about to finish the movie, like Brokeback Mountain came out, you know. You know, so this happens all the time, and yeah, can't do anything about it.
Yeah, but I wonder more why there are only two actresses like that. Why do I, you know, watch only films with older men, not so many middle-aged, strong women? What do you think?
But there were, I mean, there are a lot of films like Erin Brockovich and you know, Silkwood, you know, like some 90s, 80s movies, and who are about like similar characters, you know. I would say, you know. I mean, maybe the Three Billboards is like the newest of it, you know. But I believe we had a lot of films like this, with a character like that.
Yeah, but many years ago. In
Yeah, many years ago. Yeah. But
yeah, but do you expect more films to use this figure of middle-aged woman, very strong and revolutionary? Is it something in the air about that?
I think, when I was traveling with to festivals with my film Rams, you know, and I saw a lot of films like European movies. I don't remember the names, you know, but there were a lot of films about with this kind of character. I mean, not like a country, maybe not like a rural woman like that, but like similar kind of like a woman kind of standing on her own and kind of rising up against fighting some kind of system and stuff like that. You know?
Mm-hmm. There is even one scene when your protagonist, she makes herself some makeup going for to the bigger city for this cooperative action. So I wonder, like, how do you perceive her as a woman? How she perceive herself as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's pretty like a down to earth woman. She's and she's just like a farmer, and she's not like all this. I mean, she's working a lot. You know, she's working all the time. She doesn't have much private life. Or she's not going to cinemas or theater. You know, she's pretty. And they are both, you know, like she and Rainer. They are both these kind of people that they have a lot of debts, you know, and they are working all the time, and so their life is work, you know, and then sort of like the idea is that Inga is dealing with the grief, and then as the film plays along, you know, then it brightens up in her soul, and she becomes more confident, you know, and then and then she goes to this final meeting, and it's a part of that, maybe.
Yeah, I was surprised that she doesn't have any girlfriends, any female, persons that could help her.
Yeah.
Why is it so? Are there so little women in the country working in the agriculture?
Yeah, there was this one character. She's like the wife of Friðgeir, you know, who's like the best friend of Reynir, her husband. But then for some reason we cut her out a little bit. You know, we had more material, but it sort of didn't end in the film, and we thought it was maybe not so important. And also, we wanted to keep like maybe Inka more alone, you know, because she lost her husband, and she wanted her to be kind of alone with herself and trying to figure out like how to keep on living, you know.
Mm-hmm. In the last scene, you make Inka sing a song. This would be a very Polish context, but in Polish cinema we have this famous film scene from the Killer movie from the 90s. Jerzy Sztur, a very popular Polish actor, singing this very popular pop song while driving a car and going, in the future. So I wonder, why did you choose this particular song, and is it popular in Iceland?
Yeah, it's from like the early '90s, and it used to be it's very popular song, and the band is this kind of very sweet pop band, which really appealed. This band really appealed to women at the time. So it made sense when Inga was young. She was like listening to that band, you know. And I felt it was like interesting contrast to what was happening in her life, that she's listening to this super kind of sweet pop music, like a happy kind of music, while her life is maybe not, she's not maybe not so happy, you know. Because this is the same band, like like early in the movie when she's smoking, she's listening to the same band, you know. So.
Okay, so this band would be very similar to Polish Various Monks, very sweet pop music from the 90s, also appealing to the women listeners. So this is a very, you know, similar context to Polish song.
Yeah, we call it sometimes like the Icelandic ABBA, you know, this band. You know.
Okay. In this Polish movie I mentioned, it was a song sang very badly. You know, in a very like a kitschy way. Widziałem orła cień. Yeah, I must definitely send this link with this song to you. It is very funny. Okay, so to sum up our conversation, in your films you always show your characters in this kind of transition from the fear to being brave and strong and self-assured. Do you want to bring viewers this kind of energy that we need to change? Do you want to bring some hope with your cinema?
Yeah, I think my films are usually with some kind of like a political. There's some kind of political line, you know, in it, you know, and usually I consider myself a director that has some kind of something to say, you know, and yeah, and I'm not doing films just to make films. I'm doing films because I like to tell some important stories that I think are important to say and have some kind of meaning.
And do you think that we need this kind of hope more than before?
Yeah, you're talking about the ending, or yeah, well, I felt this ending was like it made sense for that story, you know. I sometimes like, I mean, the ending in Rams is pretty sad, you know. That's not very hopeful, you know. So it just depends on the story and how I feel like about the character and how I feel the ending should be, you know. And this time, you know, I went for like a more happy, kind of a happy ending, and maybe, yeah, maybe because the ending of Rams was so sad that I felt I needed to, you know, make up for that, you know.
Yes, to make some balance between films.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. But in the Rams, you also show this kind of transition of your protagonist, so it was not so sad in the end. Okay, so thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I hope that next year you would join us for the festival in Wrocław. Thank you for your film, and thank you for our conversation.
Thank you, and so
stay safe
to Polish people, and
thank you very much. Bye.